Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the European LCS. We're about to get into our next match as FANATIC sets up to take on ROCCAT. And who better to preview a game of FANATIC than Cyanide sitting right next to me. FANATIC in week 1, what an impressive performance they had. It was through the roof. What for you was the most impressive aspect of their play?
I think it's the fact that Yellowstar is taking FANATIC back to the Season 3 roots when we were the most successful, like playing these pickup comps. Granted, they are not split pushing just because split pushing is not really in the meta right now, but playing the same style of champions, picks, and just very aggressive overall.
As you mentioned, Yellowstar is leading them. Let's take a look at that refreshed FANATIC lineup and at the same time also at their stats from last week, because they're very impressive. First up in that top lane, Huni 6 KDA, very impressive play on Rumble. Second up in the jungle, Rainover also just doing fantastic last week.
Yes, Rainover much better than that old scrub of a FANATIC jungler.
Well, not too harsh, but he did fantastic indeed. In the mid lane, Febiven, he had some big shoes to fill coming in for Xpeke. An 18 KDA over his first 2 games. There's not much more that you could want from your mid laner. Then in the bottom lane, the duo of Steelback coming in. Well, it was Reckless before him, also big shoes to fill, and also performing 37 KDA. And finally, you said it already on support, Yellowstar.
Yellowstar, the playmaker of the team indeed. Hope we are going to see him on Annie or maybe Leona again to make those initiates.
Yeah, those indeed were very good. Who individually else stood out for you? We saw all their stat lines. They're all great.
Yeah, to be honest, everyone did great. Rainover and Febiven both did very, very good in all of the games. Huni, very impressive on Rumble, and Yellowstar just making the plays and the calls.
Yeah, talking about making those plays and the calls, it definitely seems like he's leading that ship. Those qualities of a leader, is that something that you recognize from playing with him the seasons before?
Yeah, Yellowstar was always the guy who was calling the most in the team, but in the past it was kind of everyone making a bit of calls. Might result in some confusion sometimes. I'm sure now he's like completely leading the team in a way he finds most comfortable.
Yeah, he had a kill participation of only, I want to say, almost 73%. That is massive. Last week, he also mentioned in the post-game interview, we have room to grow. Also, we don't have any egos in the team, so it's better, it's easier for us to just play. How do you react to that statement?
Oh, I admit we had some egos in the team before, and it can cause some trouble. Like, if you tell a player that, I think you should play this champion, then he's like, well, screw you, I don't think it's good, and then he just plays whatever he wants. But if FANATIC keeps having success like this, then maybe those egos will develop once again.
You were mentioning, it's a good point, you were mentioning that it reminded you of the Season 3 playstyle. Are there any other resemblances in the way they play? Because the aggressiveness and the pick-ups definitely make me think of the way you guys used to play as well.
Yeah, mostly the champions as well, like playing Lissandra and mostly Lissandra Annie, stuff like that. Just heavy initiating and going in, no fear.
They absolutely love to go in. Turning to ROCCAT, who will be on the red side this game. Their lineup in the top lane, Overpow. In the jungler, Lyankos. In the mid lane, Yukduk at AD, Woolite support Vander, and their coach, Ducky. Now, they had huge expectations coming into the season, as where last season they would say, well, this is our first season, we'll see what happens, and still almost made it to Worlds. This time, they stepped up and said, you know what, we are going for that top 3 spot. With that in mind, 1-1 is not the perfect result in week 1, also not bad, of course, but what do you think could have gone better?
I think in the game they lost against SK, they got outpicked pretty hard. Their comp was inferior, and when you lose the early with an inferior comp, the game is just over.
Yeah, it's strange sometimes that we mention the pick and ban phase for a lot of teams when now the coaches are coming in. You guys didn't have that you had those coaches in your ear during picks and bans. Do you think maybe it could also throw teams off because now they have to listen to someone else?
I think it can be just helpful. To be honest, like a lot of the times when we were preparing for games, we ended up picking something totally different. We're like, oh, I think Yorick is very good here, so assess, and then it's like,
we hated when that happened.
Then he picks Yorick, but it works sometimes it didn't. But having like the coach there telling you what to do, then makes more solid champion selects.
Yeah, we see Ducky there preparing his team as well on the screen. We talked about picks and bans and help from the coach. Individual performances-wise, Nukeduck said that he felt a little nervous after their first game. He also picked LeBlanc into Kassadin. He had Overpow coming down. He had Jankos helping in his lane, but he didn't do that well in the very first game. What do you think generally of that addition for the team?
I think Nukeduck is a pretty overhyped player. Like, there is absolutely no mid lane talent in solo queue in Europe right now, which is weird because people keep saying that Europe has the best mid laners, but people, yes, also say Nukeduck is at the top, at the same level as Xpeke, Frog, and these mid laners, but I don't think that's the case. He's pretty mid-tier, So it wasn't that big of a change. And also Xaxus, I always found him a pretty solid top laner, so I don't really see the reasoning putting over Pau top and just kicking him off the team.
We'll see how that goes on for ROCCAT. Another change they made, Woolite in the bottom lane. What did you think of his week 1 performance?
His week 1 performance was not really that impressive, but I think it was the best upgrade they made to the team. He's a solid player, as we've seen in the past, even if he had some weaker games. So I'm really expecting good things about him.
Was ROCCAT a team last year when you used to play them that you were afraid of going in a matchup with them, especially Jankos, who we know is so aggressive early on and always finds those first bloods?
Yeah, I think Jankos was the best jungler in Europe last split. Now I don't know anymore. There's only been 2 games, so it's hard to tell. But I was definitely always a bit afraid of going against him. The first blood king, they call him. So
yeah. Why did you never become a first blood king?
I don't know. I guess I just wasn't good enough, you know.
You were the Smite Seal king, though. That was
I already had a title. I don't want to take them all.
You don't want to take all the titles. Looking at this game, ROCCAT versus FANATIC, what are we expecting to see coming in here? Very early aggression again?
I suppose FANATIC should keep going with the same play style, making those picks. Yellow Star roaming went very well last time. If they play as well as they did in week 1, they should be pretty okay, I think. So.
Looking at the other side, ROCCAT, you could call it. Do you think FANATIC is going to take it, or is it going to be ROCCAT?
I think FANATIC will win if they keep playing in the same way. However, the lineup is pretty new, so maybe they just had good luck last week. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We will see. The teams are just about ready on stage, but before we kick it to the casters, FANATIC's new lineup tells us about working with one of the most seasoned players in the LCS.
Yellowstar has so much information in his head, which some of us didn't know yet. So every time we practice, he tells us something new, like rotation-wise, objective-wise. He's really smart, and he really knows how to close out games really fast because he played against a lot of Koreans, and he has so much experience more than us. Let's say, for example, we are playing scrims and we want to close the game out as fast as possible, so no wasting time. Like in my old team, we would the game could be closed out in 20 minutes and then we close it in 40 minutes, stuff like this. Like, we're working really hard to actually practice super hard and not wasting time and play on point. And playing less greedy, and yeah, it's really important.
So, welcome back. We are about to jump into picks and bans between FANATIC, who are at 2-0, against ROCCAT, who are at 1-1. Both of these teams now have different expectations. Week 1, FANATIC had no expectation, ROCCAT had expectation. Week 2, it's the complete opposite. Now, FANATIC are expected to perform at a high level, and ROCCAT, you're kind of going, meh, let's see what they do.
Yeah, well, I mean, for ROCCAT, I guess people still do expect them to kind of find the way to play and get towards his top 3 here. I mean, it's only been played 2 games for these teams.
Damn,
you have to be careful just a little bit. Just a little bit here. I mean, it's 1-1. Wasn't too bad for ROCCAT. Just the performance was a bit sloppy. We're going to have to see, man. I mean, looking at FANATIC and the way they play, I think if you're ROCCAT here, and if you want to pick the same kind of comp you did against Gambit, like the slow sieging comp here, you have to play so safe, because otherwise FANATIC are just going to roll right over you.
The biggest thing that steps out for me from ROCCAT's performances last week was how they really tried to get Nuke Duck rolling, but failed to make it work. And they did it in both of their games. So we need to see what their decision-making will be today and tomorrow. Just so you guys are aware, we are going to be updating the bans just a little slowly. We have some technical glitches. On the side of FANATIC, Lee Sin and Azir are off the table. On the side of ROCCAT, Zed and Kassadin are off the table.
I really like the Azir ban from FANATIC. I think Overpower is a fantastic Azir player. I know Nuke Duck can play it as well. And it's just such a good pick, especially against the likes of a Rengar here, because you have your ulti here to kind of peel away, extend the team fight. So I like that ban from FANATIC. And I do wonder if ROCCAT here wants to try and look for standard lanes and try and avoid Yellowstar roaming in the early game, force him to stay in the 2v2, because if they do lane swap, Yellowstar is free to do whatever he wants, and that's where the coordination from FANATIC we saw last week really looked so deadly. And obviously Rek'Sai will be the last ban coming in for ROCCAT, meaning Rengar for Reignover would be an option.
Well, we saw that from Reignover in his first showing in Europe, day 1 against Elements, and it's such a good game.
Yeah, but do you want to first pick it? Because Jankos has never been a player who I don't even recall seeing him actually play Rengar. I'm sure he's picked up here in the off-season, but I'm not sure if ROCCAT actually wants to pick a Rengar that early. Elise has been his go-to champion when Jarvan and Lee Sin is gone, and obviously there are 3 jungle bans on the table here, so could be the first pick Rengar for FANATIC. Would leave again the Gnar open. Janna, the hard disengage against the likes of FANATIC, could be a good option for ROCCAT. Lulu would be a good pick against the Rengar as well. Sivir, you can't.
So what you're telling me, Deficio,
there are many picks
there are
open.
so many things available.
If Rengar gets locked in.
Keep in mind Gnar as well. Damn it.
That was the point.
You talked so long, we didn't get there. So, Rengar available. Jankos, we know he does fall back.
No.
So are they giving up Gnar? Right, there is so much to talk about because with the focus on jungle bans, there are a ton of power picks up. Lissandra could also go mid lane with a Rumble top lane, which we've seen Huni play and do very well with. Olaf plus Rumble, they did a great job last week, but it was against H2K.
Yeah.
What does ROCCAT want to play in reply?
ROCCAT should take the Gnar here. You don't want to give Gnar Lissandra over to FANATIC, so they should lock that one in. And if you do want to try and take a few picks away from these pick compositions we always see for FANATIC, Sivir would be a go-to champion for Woolite. Take that mobility buff from her. Instead, LeBlanc again coming in early. Kassadin was banned by ROCCAT here, so they don't have to worry about the Kassadin counter pick into LeBlanc. So that's why they can take it here for Nukeduck.
So last week, Nukeduck played LeBlanc, did not go well. 266 GPM. That was the game where he tried to have some, or there was some assistance from Overpow as well as Jankos roaming to the middle lane, and it didn't work out. Gonna need a stronger start this time around.
Yeah, in that game again, he was against a Kassadin. The matchup we keep talking about how he's not really in favor of LeBlanc in the laning phase here, definitely after level 6. And that's again why ROCCAT bans the Kassadin so they can take LeBlanc, have an assassin who can actually one-on-one Febivan in the laning phase here, try and really challenge him, because the games he played last week, Febivan had no problems just sitting back and farming, and now FANATIC can again lock in the Sivir Rengar combo, which is so good.
And it's what you talked about earlier today. When you've got that Rengar, Horo played it with no real additional speed boosts on his team. Reinova's already got the assistance of Sivir. Lulu is still available, as is Orianna, for additional engage and speed up potential if they would like to go that route. So still options for FANATIC.
Yeah.
Annie is still up as well. Yellowstar 2-0 on that Annie. We had the Week 1 MVP go his way, thanks in part to his calls and his engages.
And really for FANATIC, I mean, they can play exactly the same way they did last week. You have so much engage here, you have that pick potential from all 3 picks they have already locked in, and no response from ROCCAT yet on their side. I mean, Janna, if you want that hard disengage, would be an option for them, for Vander as well here. Unless you want to try and take away the Annie from FANATIC, but then you end up in this situation where they just have more engaged than you anyway and can take a Leona for Yellowstar, and suddenly the Annie won't really do too much.
Well, Vander looks like he's going to go for his 3rd support champion in 3 games. Returning to Thresh. No surprise that Jankos has got his hands on Elise. His Annie is up, Leona is up. Whatever Yellowstar wants to run, he's got the pick of the litter. The question for me is how well Vander's going to perform on this Thresh. There were times last year where we flirted with the idea of him being called Vander Life. However, that was fairly short-lived, and he didn't maintain that level throughout the year.
Very, very true. And picking it over the Janna here. So once the Lantern instead, when a target gets locked in or locked down by the Rengar, you have the Lantern then to save him, pull him back to your team, so you want to stay grouped. But ROCCAT is running a composition that's going to have a very, very hard time in the late game in terms of the damage they can deal. LeBlanc late game, once people start getting Banshees, getting MR, becomes harder and harder for her to get the kills. And obviously Elise, she's a jungler, there's no ulti, so her scaling is terrible. You just become a tank with a cocoon in the late game. ROCCAT's last pick here needs to be a hyper carry if they want to have anything in the late game. And we talk about this Leona from Yellowstar, it's been locked in now for him. I really fear for ROCCAT in this game because they're giving FANATIC everything they want. I mean, this comp almost looks like the comp they played against Elements, except for Annie.
In place of Leona. Yellowstar has always been a phenomenal Leona player.
True.
You go back to Season 2 days and similar story when he was playing, or Season 3 days rather, really great engage potential. ROCCAT need late scaling damage. We'll see what option they want to go with before they lock in their final carry. Just quick numbers here. 1 game on LeBlanc from Febivan, 22 KDA and a 437 GPM. As we've already highlighted, against Nukeduck with somewhat of a counter pick in LeBlanc later stages of the game, 0.5 KDA, 266 GPM. We need to see which mid laner can get ahead.
So, I mean, one-on-one, it is in favor of Nukeduck when it comes to setting up a kill against the Xerath, but we can just see Fabian play very passive and just sit back and farm and basically wait for these mid-game teamfights to start, wait for the picks to happen through Leona, Lissandra, Ringak, everything on Fnatic's side can pick off a target so they can play the exact same way they played last time and it worked for them. And on ROCCAT's side, now you have some late-game scaling on a Tristana, but that's going to be the target from Fnatic. In the mid-game, Tristana can do nothing. And when Fnatic can keep forcing fights on you, then it becomes such a risky pick here. I really feel like the pick and ban phase for ROCCAT is very, very scary. Or scary for them.
Risky.
Risky. And they're going to have to win the early game for them to not being overrun in the mid-game by Fnatic.
On the same token, if ROCCAT does get ahead, they've got a bunch of champions that have the ability to continually make picks. They have a fairly beefy front line with that Gnar plus Elise. So if ROCCAT can come out ahead during the laning phase, they've also got a fair amount of tools to punish a Rengar. Every time Rengar comes in, you could have a Mega Gnar, you could have a Cocoon to shut him down. So there are tools on both sides, but as you say, it is riskier for ROCCAT.
Yeah, it really is, especially because you give Fnatic all the picks they want. I mean, this is the same lineup as week 1 against the Elements, except for Leona instead of Annie. So they know how to play it, and you know they can do it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's your team comps. Hashtag FNCWin if you think Fnatic will win. And if you're a fan of ROCCAT, thank you to Luke at Look for this one, but prepare for trouble. Make it double to protect the teams from relegation, to unite all fans in the ROCCAT nation, to denounce the evils of Drakes and Wards, and to extend their reach to playoffs and worlds. Yakos, Vander, Nukeduck, they're going to look to carry. That's right, it's Fnatic versus ROCCAT.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
For any fans of Pokemon and, of course, the Trash Talk threads on Reddit, that was a personal favorite. Hashtag word. So, we're into game. Fnatic looking to make it 3-0. ROCCAT looking to actually to prove the naysayers that the decisions they've made were the right ones. Cyanide had a very, very strong personal opinion about mid lane talent in EU. Let's see if Nukeduck can help change his opinion.
Yeah, calling Nukeduck a mid-tier player. It's a bit harsh for a guy who's by many being rated as one of the best mid laners here, but it did have a point. We haven't seen a mid laner really join Froggen, Xpeke and Alex Ish in like the elite mid laners in Europe that we often talk about. Ever since Season 2, when they really started showing how good they were. I
want to actually put a challenge to that, because last week we mentioned it, and Bjergsen's name came up, and you're kind of on the iffy side. Ooh, maybe. After seeing week 1 and watching Bjergsen play, I think you have to give some props that he has reached a similar level.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because he's an NA. So
well, okay,
he's not in Europe anymore.
So that's it. Just give up the passport, not welcome home anymore.
He's been playing in NA for too long now, so I consider him an NA mid laner.
And of course,
so does the Queen of Denmark.
You great to the NA. So let's get back to game at the moment. Lane swap looks like it's coming in place. It's ROCCAT that are initiating this one. Nothing too exciting from the itemization. However, Steelback and Yellowstar seem to be responding. Interesting new start here in the jungle. Huni and Steelback on Gromp while Rainover's on blue.
So Fnatic right now is actually expecting the bottom lane from ROCCAT to be on the bottom side, and that's why they give this Gromp over to Huni, so he gets a level 2 for himself, and then he can teleport down to the bottom.
Oh!
Whoa! That just happened.
Oh, Huni is as cold as ice, and he was sacrificed for that one. 0-1, not quite as fun as seeing a Scion do it.
And Overpower managed to get level 2 himself from doing a camp at level 1, teleport down to this bottom lane as well. Now actually a small advantage for him in the laning phase. Huni should be able to just push it a bit from range and get his own level 2. But the whole plan from ROCCAT here was, again, get the Gromp to Huni so he gets level 2 and he teleports to the bottom lane. Had it been a 1v2, it would have actually been very strong because the Sander could have sit and farm from range. It would have been hard to kill her. Instead, though, standard lanes just swapped around.
So let's see how these 2v2s and 1v1s play out with that misplay from Huni. See how much pressure Overpower can put down.
Steelback as well. He stopped hitting the Gromp. But, you know what? I'll see if you can handle it.
One hit away. I mean, Gromp actually died just after Huni dropped. And I double-checked his XP bar. I don't think he got the XP at all. So let's see how this plays out. We do see Spell Shield from Steelback Sivir. Gonna block some of that poke from Vander. But early trades is in favor of Vander. Let's see how aggressive Yellowstar goes once he gets some levels under his belt and multiple forms of CC from that Leona.
Yeah, I do think, though, FANATIC is going to have to wait for Reignover to make some plays if they want to go all in on Vander and Woolite here. We always talk about how Tristana is such a safe pick because, again, you can jump away here with your rocket jump. And while her early game damage was actually nerfed quite a lot, and she's not as strong in the early game as she used to be, she should still do fine together with Vander here in this 2v2.
So we'll see how well he can CS. For the time being, FANATIC in a not too bad position.
Again, keep in mind as well, Steelback was doing the Grump, so he wasn't there early on to push the wave, and while ROCCAT and
you know
had both Woolite and Vander sitting there, I believe, to start pushing it and therefore get the early level 2 on their side.
And now that you mention that, actually, you take a look at the minimap, Grump is actually still up. So it was the vision disappearing that covered Grump, not his death animation. So that confused me. So still up and available. We do see Jankos in his jungle, also upgraded. Got himself access to the Chilling Smite already on the Stalker's Blade. Reignover on the other side, got himself the Rangers Trailblazer. So fairly standard starts.
Yeah.
Yep, fairly standard starts.
But we will always have that small XP advantage for Overpower, seeing as he got that jungle camp at level 1 and then teleported down. And he's been using it to actually push in Huni to his tower. Every single lane so far, just been pushing it down, farming, no real trading going on between them and Jankos. That's a mix between him and ROCCAT. Going to the top lane, because the lane is consistently pushing to the tower, he's expecting Reignover to show up, and he's going to be ready for the counter gank here.
Not only the lane, look at the CS difference between Steelback and Woolit. I do think you expect that in the matchup, though. Early levels on that Leona is always going to be more difficult. Let's see if anybody else is going to potentially die to Grump. I'll pay more attention to kill credit this time around. Jankos still sticking around in that top lane. Reignover is nearby, but it's very defensive from Steelback and Yellowstar.
And this is good scouting by ROCCAT, because Reignover, week 1 on this Rengar here, was part of 2 kills pre-level 6. Because you normally don't expect Rengar to do anything before he gets his ulti, but ROCCAT here, they know there's a chance of him coming to this lane. They know if there's going to be any reply from Steelback and Yellowstar, then they need him. And then you miss your cocoon.
Oh, the death sentence connects though. Vander's got in. First blood to the First Blood King. Jankos does it again, and Vander with a great death sentence to open up the game.
The first you get so disappointed, the cocoon misses, and then Vander lands the hook here. No flash from Steelback.
Oh, Yellowstar's gone in. Vander manages to pull him backwards and connects with the death sentence. Yellowstar goes low, but no kill this time around. Just getting me very excited. And we see a very early pickaxe here from Steelback, feeling the pressure. With Woolite's farm, he should be able to grab himself a BF sword. And that's going to be an even more difficult lane.
So if you have standard farm, nothing happens, and you hit every single CS, I believe around 55 CS you have enough for BF sword. Now you have the assist instead, giving him enough gold to go back and get it. Now Reignover, again pre-level 6 here on the Rengar. I want to go for overpower.
That's the flash route from Huni. And an easy 2-on-1. That'll make up for the small mistake from Huni earlier in the game.
Yeah, again, he's ahead in farm here. He gets a kill as well. And the wave is pushing to the tower here, so they might want to force an overpower teleport once he's actually live once again. We'll expect him just to save it, though. Even though ROCCAT's dueling, he's going back to the top side, so no swapping around just yet in this game here.
Fairly smart from Jankos as well.
Used it.
Despite hitting that cocoon, did not engage, realizing Huni was nearby. So as you highlighted, teleport used by Overpower. Going to be back in lane, shove it back out and keep control.
Running the Hexstringer again into the double AP from FANATIC. Again, we often see it when you have a lane against an AP champion. That's where you want it for this early game power, instead of just going full tank. And this pink ward...
It was worth the flash. Dude, it was about to dodge the auto attack.
It's a scary pink ward.
Not anymore, it's not. Jankos
That's why he flashed, man.
Flashed for it, dude. That thing was going to get away. So, tower in the top lane, under pressure from ROCCAT. Reignover's making his way up. Yellowstar and Steelback. At level 5, no access to the ultis yet.
Oh, Woolite just managed to jump away. It's so annoying as a player, though, because you want to sit and time summoner spells, and every time you see a player fail his flash, it's because he's trying to type F for flash and then the time, because we obviously saw Huni in the bottom lane use his flash onto overpower, and obviously you're killing a ward, why not time it, and then you misclick it.
Concrete proof as to why flash should be on D.
Never.
Reignover at level 6 is going to back away. Yellowstar and Steelback still keeping themselves relevant despite being down in sort of damage somewhat. 14 CS behind, even across the board for our top laners, for our junglers, and for our mid laners. And this is actually a fairly passive start. By this point in both of FANATIC's previous games, there had been a lot more action, a lot more tower pressure, and even kills put into play. FANATIC playing more reserved and borderline more calculated.
Honestly, I think they just haven't had an opening just yet. Again, the top lane, they couldn't really do too much on their own here, and Reignover didn't want to go gank it early. We even saw Jankos be ready for a potential counter gank. So now we have level 6 on the Rengar. We can actually see FANATIC want to set something up. Because when you do play Rengar, the best you can do is you have one lane pushing where you apply the pressure. So you force the enemy jungler to show himself in that lane. And then when he goes for the gank, you have your Rengar sitting and he counter ganks. Because Rengar, once he goes in, he's not going out again. So if he goes in first and gets counter ganked, he ends up dying 9 out of 10 times here. So you want to try and time with the enemy jungler is and make sure he's not there to kill you when you're going for these ganks. And Yellowstar roaming from this top side down towards the bottom lane.
Look at the emphasis though, they really want to keep Overpowered down. Here comes Reignover, he's looking for the Brawler Strike. We do see Lissandra coming, Insta-Flash from Overpower, Solar Flare connects, he's level 7, gonna get locked up in the tomb, and it's gonna be Yellowstar that gets the kill credits.
They do sacrifice the top lane for it here, would probably have lost the tower anyway, so FANATIC just trying to get a kill out of it. Steelback though, he needs to be careful because 3 guys from ROCCAT around him.
So, traded 1 tower in the top for the bottom. ROCCAT continue to push. Let's see if they can get themselves a second tower. Pony, Yellowstar, for Bivin. Gonna get caught out a little bit, but a very good stun is gonna actually make that trade relatively even. Steelback gets hooked up. Here's the teleport coming in from Hooning. There's no Glacial Tomb, keep that in mind. Steelback doesn't have the mana either, so I don't think he was able to throw down on the hunt.
So kill and a tower here for FANATIC. ROCCAT only managed to get the top tower for themselves. We've actually seen this before when ROCCAT played Elise back in the summer split. Jankos would constantly just walk to the lanes and start pushing down towers with him very early on, trying to do exactly the same here. When they have a winning matchup, Jankos shows up, they chip away on this tower here, get it lower and lower, and then at some point they can finish it, get that global goal for themselves. So same kind of game for Jankos, obviously also with the first blood.
A lot more even from FANATIC and ROCCAT. 10 minutes on the clock. Gold is on the same. Towers are equal. FANATIC have an extra kill to their name, but it's not. There's nothing really in it. Take a look at the CS between Steelback and Woolite, because I think for ROCCAT, it's so important to keep Woolite ahead as one of the only damage sources the later this game goes.
Yeah, and that's also why he's getting this average played very early. He knows there's no pressure on him right now. He's been winning his lane matchup. He already has the BF sword. Get it. Try and get that extra goal. Boost yourself up towards Static Shift and Infinity Edge, which is going to be your first power spike, obviously, on the Tristana. So quite like it from him. Also, it will give you some extra wave clear if FANATIC's looking really to push the towers, if you have that Static Shift completed before Infinity Edge.
I think that's super important to mention because there's not a massive amount of safe wave clear on the side of ROCCAT. They're going to be very reliant on Woolite's range. So FANATIC get the second tower of the game. You can see Woolite and Vander pushing the bottom tower. They may end up trading, but FANATIC have got the numbers advantage in the top lane. 4 of them on the inner turret, they just don't have the minions to work with. Huni, he's gone in, he's rooted them in place. Glacial Tomb, but a 3-man Gnarl throws FANATIC against the wall. ROCCAT, they're going to survive and get the first kill of the fight as Jankos was able to repel away. FANATIC with an uncharacteristically bad dive is going to lose that one clearly. 1 for 3, maybe disrespecting the Gnar.
Oh, completely disrespecting him. Mega Gnar was just about ready for overpower when the dive starts, and then they're all standing next to a wall. He obviously just smacks them into it here, denies the whole thing. Bottom lane went down as well for ROCCAT here. They keep pushing for the next one, so keep in mind the tier 2 turrets in top and bot for FANATIC is fairly low now and can easily be taken by ROCCAT later on.
Or despite the stun from Febivin, Nukeduck again comes out with a very good trade. A lot of aggression back and forth between those mid laners, but yeah, FANATIC really messing up that tower dive in the top lane. Let's see if it comes back to hurt them. Overpower now 2-2-0.
Yeah, so Febivin has done a good job pushing in the mid lane all the time here, also with Nukeduck roaming, getting some damage on it. So we can see Steelback push out the minions here and then run to mid lane. Together with Febivin, they push down this mid turret here as long as it's only LeBlanc sitting there to defend. And Woolite is going back to his bottom lane because he's going to start pushing towards him. So it could be an opening for FANATIC here to get a tower in this mid lane. Open up the map here, get these deep wards in. You need when you play these pick comps here. I think they did so well last week, was getting down these deep wards here and then look for openings.
So let's take a look at the vision game. If you look at the mini-map, mostly defensive wards from the side of FANATIC, to be fair. Slightly less of them on the side of ROCCAT as well. But those towers are down in the top and bottom, so opportunity to roam around the map. ROCCAT take advantage of FANATIC being really in disarray at this moment in time, and they punish.
So two things happen here.
Dragon.
Two things happen from ROCCAT. First of all, they see Huni in the top lane having no teleport just yet, and then they also see Fabian move towards his blue buff, knowing then nobody's near this dragon here. We can pick it up for free, but we did see the move from FANATIC. Steal back after pushing out the bottom lane. He walks straight to mid lane, kill that low tower here, get the gold for FANATIC, and again open up the map because all outer turrets are gone now. It's time to place the deep wards.
We'll have to see how they work it out. You know, we're taking a look at some of the stats between 2014 and 2015 in terms of the opening weeks. And actually, Yellow Star's nearly doubled the amount of wards that he purchases per game. And these are the pink wards that you were talking about. It went from 7 wards purchased last year at similar time frame to about 13.5 this year. So Vision really being stepped up from FANATIC's, I mean, let's be fair, captain.
Yeah, of course.
You know, longest standing member. And you heard Fabian praising him, saying that Yellow Star really knows how to push down and close games out.
So the thing is, I mean, ward control is how you play against a pick comp, and it's how you play a pick comp, because you need to be able to see the openings, you need to be able to catch the enemy team off guard, because you can see every time they're moving between the lanes, and then you get the pick you need, you get the engage, and at the same time, you need to be able to spot the Rengar when he wants to go in for you, so you need to have the wards yourself to defend from the pick. So it's just so much about the warding right now in League of Legends, and it's a thing we always see when Worlds comes around. The best team in the world always dominate in terms of vision control. I mean, Samson White was the last example who used it perfectly.
We'll see if anybody can emulate that success. Vander clearing out some wards in his jungle. In contrast to our previous game, this is significantly slower. However, 5 towers have gone down in 15 minutes. That is actually a lot of map presence opened up between both of these squads. Let's see who can take advantage of it better. FANATIC trying to get some deeper vision down, but not really committing to any big plays, really.
No, and ROCCAT is going to have to rely on FANATIC engaging on them, and then disengaging with their Thresh and the Elise, and kind of like counter-engage from there on, because they don't really have any hard engage on their side. You need to land like a hook from Vander, or Overpower maybe needs to get a great TP if he does decide to get Home Guard on his boots, and try and use that as your engage from Meganar. But that's somewhat unreliable for both Vander and Overpower, so ROCCAT is going to have to rely a lot on FANATIC starting the fights, and then ROCCAT turning it around by surviving the first engage from Lissandra, from the Rengar, of course.
Well, you talk about, you know, maybe Overpower getting Home Guard on his boots. You actually see it's Huni that's gone for Distortion very early on. So going to look to get more of those Glacial Tomb, Claw of Doom style engages. And let's see what they can work out. FANATIC are grouping up in the mid lane.
Yeah, he basically wants more flash ultis from him, because again, the target, well, it's going to be Woolite. He's going to stay very far back, so you need to be able to claw in, then flash ulti onto him, and therefore lock him down before Mikhail's is being built from Vander. And that's why he gets it so early on as well here, to make sure, again, you have your teleports, you have your ulti now, and you can flash onto Woolite.
I'm going to go back to picks and bans and talk about how, oh, we'll get to that in a second. Reignover, he's on the hunt, thrilling hunt rather. Gonna lock down Overpower. That was just, oh, he's hopped, he's skipped, he's flashed. And the lantern! Vander gets him out. I thought that was so simple that Overpower was going to die. Vander looking to reclaim the Vander Life title. I was convinced Overpower was going to die, but he manages to get out cleanly thanks to support of Vander, and FANATIC invested quite a lot into that engage.
One of the reasons for picking the Thresh here, I guess, from ROCCAT, you want to be able to, whenever someone is being picked off, you have the lantern to save him. Maybe not got it this close every time.
But it's very exciting, and the point that I was about to make, this slower pace of game is going to play into ROCCAT's favor. You're giving Gnar the time he needs to get tanky, as is Elise. You're giving Woolite's Tristana the time to farm up. Got himself still a small lead over Steelback, but he's going to get to that Infinity Edge slightly, quicker than that of Steelback, because he had the Avarice Blade, sorry, the 2-item combo quicker than Steelback, because he had the Avarice Blade ticking over. So ROCCAT, I think, fairly comfortable, but the first few team fights are going to be super, super telling. If Woolite goes down, ROCCAT go down. Yeah,
and again, the protection for him right now, if he gets locked up by Alessandra, nothing to save him. I mean, you're going to need the Mikhails for Vander to keep him alive. You're going to need a LOCCAT as well coming in from ROCCAT against this double AP. And I want to see if Huni's actually going to try and focus much on sitting in side lanes. Again, with the distortion, so less cooldown on the teleport, another bonus for him. If that's the reason he gets it here, and he want to sit and consistently or constantly just like start slow pushes in the side lanes and be able to teleport in from a flank onto ROCCAT when they want to engage onto the likes of Woolite.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting if you see how this game has played out, because the towers have been pressed down. This is going to be uncontested here for Woolite, but let's look at Yellowstar. Zenith Blade does whiff, doesn't connect. Stun does not either. We do see On the Hunt this time from Steelback being used and instantly traded for the Buster Shot. But an uncontested tower, and actually it feels like neither team has looked for the head-to-head contest at this stage.
Yeah, because ROCCAT again has had all these defensive wards and just been sitting back farming. FANATIC has tried to look for a few picks, but then the Lantern would be there twice now from Vander. You see how he positioned himself. When Woolite is hitting the tower, Vander just walks away from him, stays very far back and just throws the Lantern as soon as the tower dives, pulls him away, he stays alive. And Dragon is spawning now in 10 seconds, or about 10 seconds. Should be our first real fight.
Well, first one was uncontested by ROCCAT. They managed to sneak it away. FANATIC are again out of position. There's not going to be a fight for sure because there's no one around to start it. There's no vision here for FANATIC either. So second Dragon of the game going to go the way of ROCCAT. Something that we have seen over the course of 2 weeks, or 2 regions, EU and NA LCS, as well as to be LCK and other regions. You can give up a few dragons. Number 5 is where it matters. Number 5 is really where it counts. So we need to see at what point do FANATIC start looking to challenge.
Typically though, you can give them up if you can trade them for a tower and you can get some global gold for you, so you get the item advantage and they obviously get the buffs here and need the 5th one before it really starts counting. In this situation, FANATIC has got nothing while ROCCAT has been able to pick up the dragons. So at least the last dragon here. So for now, dead even in gold, 3-3 in towers, 1 kill difference between the two teams as well, but 2 dragons for ROCCAT.
Ticking time bomb. Teams are even on gold. FANATIC have been unable to convert the dragon pressure that ROCCAT have had into tower pressure. However, since that last attempted kill on Overpower, Huni's got his flash available once more. Distortion boots are doing work. And you've got Woolite about to hit his Infinity Edge just a few hundred gold away, whereas Steelback is just sitting on his Brawler's gloves, still going to get himself towards a similar place. And it just feels like this is actually working out in ROCCAT's favor. Defisha, you were so nervous about the team comp that ROCCAT put together. After 20 minutes and seeing their playstyle, you have to give them credit for their decision making.
Yeah, they've been able to just sit back and farm here and disengage from FANATIC, who's not been playing as aggressive as we saw beforehand. I mean, if you look at the wards in the jungle of ROCCAT, in week 1, that would have been completely filled up by FANATIC wards, and they would be sitting ready every time they had the chance to kill you. But they don't have anything except for 1 ward here. ROCCAT has done a good job keeping again the defensive wards placed. And Nukeduck went for Soul Stealer on LeBlanc. He did the same last week.
Different circumstances.
It didn't pay off for him at all.
It felt like a desperation play last week. This time around, you kind of, well, we need to see if it works out.
It's a very risky buy, no matter what.
It is, and it is something that Nukeduck is famous for. He is a confident player, sometimes too confident. But the question is, if it works, it'll win you the game. I mean, it's a lot of cheap. It's super valuable. If you can build those stacks up, it also potentially signals that ROCCAT will be looking to go on the offensive in the not too distant future.
And now they are actually, from FANATIC side, moving in the jungle here. Want to try and look for a fight, but ROCCAT is keeping all 5 guys around this red buff here.
Gnar counter's very low. It's not charged
look at
up
Huni and his position. He's going in.
Huni coming in. He's caught Woolite. The solar flare's caught him as well. Woolite is down. Where is Nukeduck? What can he do? Jankos forced to flash away. The pew comes out from Febiven, but it doesn't result in a kill. Jankos gets out clean, but Nukeduck is down, and FANATIC with 2 quick kills. They're peeling for Baron.
So talking about FANATIC here, waiting for the right play. Didn't really want to go too over-aggressive, and then they see red buff spawning. They move in here, place a few wards around. Didn't even actually see where ROCCAT was coming from, but because Huni had such a great position around the crux here, there was no wards on him. He could get onto Woolite, the carry in the backline, and kill him. Overpowered. Time to be a man.
There is a Mega Gnar that's been stunned up. 2,500k. He gnaws FANATIC against the wall. Huni gets healed. He wants a Huni pot. Overpower is not overpowered, and he goes down. Baron secured by FANATIC. Now they can dictate the game just like that. 4,000 gold in the lead. And week 1, game 1 flashbacks coming back for ROCCAT.
And again, just look at Huni here. He's waiting for Wula to walk in. Perfect claw, locks him down. Double CC both from Yellowstar and Huni onto him, and they just kill him. And the main damage dealer is gone from ROCCAT side, and it's impossible for Nukedog to even do anything here. He has no chance of actually flanking, getting any kinds of picks. And this is just FANATIC walking into the jungle, knowing they have a comp that is so strong at the moment here, and they can win a team fight, and ROCCAT takes it in their own jungle. No vision on the sides, couldn't see Huni come in, and therefore FANATIC punish them and take the Baron.
That was the question that we had. Will ROCCAT be able to protect their limited damage sources in the bigger team fights? And very, very clearly the answer is no. ROCCAT did not have the vision they needed to commit to that fight, and they get punished. Now, FANATIC have got the Baron buff. They've got the ability to push for a minute and a half, 2 minutes longer, but it feels like they're just using that buff to gain some map control at the moment, waiting for their minions to push into this inner turret.
Yeah, you do have a Xerath, and there's no hard engage on the side of ROCCAT. So once you have the Baron, and you start pushing out these side lanes here, you just have Xerath sitting in the mid lane with your team and start poking away, because nobody's going to engage onto him unless Overpower can come around from the flank here.
There's no flash available. Reignover's been hooked. He's been pulled back. The box is out. Huni decides to not go in. The Gnar does connect with Yellowstar against the wall. We've only lost Reignover. What more can come? Huni gets hooked. Nukeduck jumps at him and blows him up. And just like that, Vander lands hook after hook, trying to keep ROCCAT's hopes alive.
2 big plays by Vander here, defending the tower, getting the kills, moving straight for Dragon as well. 35 seconds before it spawns. Huni will be up before that and will have his teleport ready. ROCCAT not exactly able to push down his mid turret.
But they may be able to sneak this Dragon away. 20 seconds on the clock before it spawns. FANATIC are much closer to contest this time. Reignover, however, needs to book it and get there in range.
Yeah, they can just push mid lane here, or no, have to be careful. ROCCAT shows himself, but they did see Nukedog in this bottom lane. Had to take that big wave that had been built up.
Vision still in favor of ROCCAT around the Dragon Pit. And of course those Baron buffed minions still working in favor of FANATIC. Look at this commitment to the tower. That was a teleport in, and now FANATIC are setting themselves up for Dragon. This is a good play from FANATIC.
Not only did you get the tower, you also forced ROCCAT to leave the Dragon area and go back and try to defend here. So now FANATIC can move straight down to it and actually put up a few wards on the way. But everyone from ROCCAT is on the way. You might see a 5 versus 5.
Well,
took quite a lot of damage from Dragon here.
Good poke from Nukeduck as well.
Ooh. Bad positioning from FANATIC. So because they have to disengage from Dragon here, they actually leave the mid lane open now for ROCCAT to push it down. And they should get the mid tower forward.
So ROCCAT are going to shove this one out. Dragon will be for the taking later. This will be Dragon tower number 4, which will close that gold gap ever so slightly. FANATIC, they do trade tower for tower, but it cost Huni a teleport. Now it's Overpower that'll have the map pressure, as it looks like ROCCAT are setting up on Dragon.
They do have a big wave pushing in top as well, so if they keep FANATIC around here, then we'll get some damage on this top 2, which is already fairly low.
Oh, look at this. On the thrilling hunt. That was both ultimates. Solar Flare goes wide. They have managed to shut down Overpower, despite a slight guff of the ultimates across the board. But FANATIC, with the numbers advantage, again moving to Dragon. They do not want to give ROCCAT more Dragons than this.
And again, FANATIC, every single time they see someone out of position, they go for the engage. You have the Ringo, you have the Sivir, you can speed him up, and he just lands Boulder Strike. Overpower's rooted to the ground, well, everyone else follows up.
That was the theory.
I mean,
took a little close, but they made it work. They made it work.
That is what FANATIC can do and have done the last week as well, is look for these guys to split up from their teams, and then you kill them because the team is not in a position to react in time. ROCCAT needs to stay together as 5 if they want to avoid these picks here. And as soon as you make one mistake around the Dragon, well, easy kill for FANATIC and a Dragon.
There's something else to point out as well. Our players to watch. Reignover was on the list. His first Rengar game had multiple successful ganks before 6. Huni, can he 100-0 Woolite? Doesn't look like he wants to just yet. Gonna go in finally. Glacial Tomb comes out, throws out the Claw of Doom. There's an instant teleport from Overpower. So that's actually map advantage now evened out.
That was such a good play.
Glacial Tomb. Very well played by Huni.
Such a good play. He didn't want to commit fully, so he didn't like claw into Woolite here. He just popped the ulti. Instant teleport from ROCCAT here to react to try and save the AD carry. And Huni just walks away.
Well, very well done. Got that summoner spell. And you know, to go back to
just
the
baiting
point,
out teleport there again. Smart play.
Reignover's Rengar has not been as impactful as it was last week. Significantly slower game, but FANATIC still demonstrating when an opportunity is presented, they'll pounce. The team fight that got them control of this game was because of their decisive play.
Yes, very true. So in that case, Reignover hasn't been able to, like, get kills pre-level 6, but he's part of every single kill FANATIC has. He has, again, 4 assists and 3 kills himself, and he's been the guy to catch people off guard here from ROCCAT. So I still think giving Reignover his Rengar and also like Steelback in this case, his Sivir, so you have that combination, is a very, very risky thing against FANATIC. And so far, they have been able to get the lead in this game, but it's not as explosive as we've seen before.
Yeah, and I want to go back to picks and bans as well. First 2 picks for ROCCAT was Gnar and LeBlanc. 2-4-1, Overpass had a few good ultimates, but it's not particularly game-changing. And Nukeduck on LeBlanc again, 0-1 and 2. He does have 5 stacks on that Magi Soul Stealer, so made up for the death after he dropped it. He's having a better game than last week, but he's not been able to blow anybody up, and that's really what he needs to be doing with this champion in this team comp.
Yeah, I think ROCCAT just wanted the LeBlanc early, and then combine it with an early game jungler, and again, try and get a few kills on Nukeduck so he can maybe snowball early to mid-game and make sure FANATIC can't just go for these picks, or they still would be able to be a lot harder for them because they had to be careful they wouldn't get blown up by Nukeduck. But still early picking LeBlanc, I feel like you give so many power picks to the other side by taking it in the first rotation.
You know, I agree with you in theory that it makes sense, but ROCCAT made no indications to either push that mid lane or even play around getting early kills. To be fair, they tried last week and it didn't work, so maybe some of their hesitation stems from that. But anyways, Baron has respawned. FANATIC have got the ability to deep ward ROCCAT's jungle. Very importantly for FANATIC, that Mega Gnar has actually just popped for Overpass, so he's going to need to build that bar back up if a fight were to break out. FANATIC continue to play the vision game, continue to get control, and then dictate the tempo. I think that's the important thing to note. ROCCAT is now dancing to FANATIC's beat for the last 10 minutes.
Yes, and FANATIC's comp is absolutely fantastic if you can engage where ROCCAT can't see you. Where you can pop the Rengar ulti and the Lissandra over a wall, and then
you mean like that?
Yeah, like right now, which is why the vision control is so important for him, and there's engage.
Well, Jankos is in trouble. Jankos repels. Can he get away? Nukeduck is trying to find some kills as Jankos is on the back line. His repel kept him alive for a while, but now Reignover, his reign is about to be over. Still alive, nobody's gone down. Buster shot kicks Reignover away. Overpow's come in. Mega Gnar stuns Yellow Star against the wall, but Overpow's got no support. We see the right of the arcane. Shots coming out. Flash, boomerang blade. The third one gets a double kill. Forbidden, you are here. FANATIC win the fight after an extended engage and peel to Baron.
So for Bivin here, he uses 2 charges of the ulti and then he saves the last one. He waits for Wulai to keep moving and try and trick him. And Wulai walks into Jankos, who's trying to recall, and the last charge hit. Double kill, Baron.
I want to replay of that because that was
so good.
That was phenomenal.
I love the mind games. I just love how he fires first 2 instantly and then he waits.
I thought there was none left. I thought I missed a shot.
That's what, again, Wulai was supposed to think as well. Anyway, fight here. FANATIC, they have to set up with the ward so they can get disengaged onto ROCCAT. But ROCCAT actually managed to disengage at first. And now they can try and, you know, get some damage down. Reignover flashed away. Mega Gnar coming in as well from Overpower. Sadly, not really anyone except for Yellow Star you could knock into all. And now just see here, 2 very fast one. And now he wants Wulai to believe the last one is gone. And Wulai walks in. Oh, his own teammate, it's flying. Double kill.
Oh, somebody give the observers a high five because that was awesome.
Credit to Steelback as well, flashing Boomerang and forcing the flash from Wulai, and then the last one hits. But that was beautiful. That was pretty sick.
I don't care. That is your hashtag LCS big play moment. That was brilliant. I got baited completely. I didn't know the 3rd shot was coming. FANATIC get the 2nd Baron of the game. They extend their gold lead even further. And this is the decisive play that we were talking about over and over and over. Let's see if they can push down the inhibitor turrets. They have a few of them to knock on the door. The ROCCAT, they're still not completely out of it, but it's highly unlikely to pull back as long as FANATIC remain groups.
Yeah, it's going to be all about, again, Wulai getting to a 4-5 item on Tristana, or maybe getting a hook onto Huni.
Oh, Huni's in trouble. Hourglass goes out. Glacial Tomb is still available. He's going to throw that down on himself. Just as we talk about it, FANATIC are the ones that make the small misplay. allowing themselves to get caught by those death sentences, and also proving me wrong, because even in a 5v5, ROCCAT won.
Wow, 5v5.
Hey, it still counts! Still counts!
There's a lot of single target CC from ROCCAT here. So once you do land against the hook or the cocoon, you follow up with the next one. And obviously Huni ends
Thank you
up
for
dying
backing me up,
it.
Fisher.
I'm always here, I'm always by your side. Even when you're sleeping.
That's when I like you the most. So, FANATIC grouping up on the bottom lane. They grab themselves a second dragon themselves, stalling out ROCCAT's dragon control. But ROCCAT's still trying to find their way into this. Bloodthirster, Eye-Edge, Shiv on Woolite. A lot of pressure on him.
ROCCAT is just gonna farm. I mean, they're not really looking to fight. Land a hook, land a cocoon, and maybe you can get a kill, but otherwise, let your AD carry just sit and get all the farm in the world, get him to 5 items, and then you start thinking about fighting once again. Because even Xerath and Sivir together, normally again you would say Sivir has to just go all in, but when you have the mobility on a Xerath suddenly, he can actually position himself in these team fights, making it even harder for ROCCAT to get towards FEBIVEN, and just allow him to sit and snipe people like he did against Elements in week 1.
Well, here we go. Here's on the thrilling hunt. They want overpower. Banshee's Veil popped. And Vander saves him. 2 ultimates down from Rengar and Siva. It's going to open up the inner turret, though. ROCCAT cannot reply. FANATIC, they dance in lane for a little while. As Baron wears off, they get the tower.
Yeah, and again, ROCCAT just trying to buy time there. Base still alive. No inhibitor turrets down. You need the Mikhails to be complete on Vander. You need the last Whisper on Woolite before you want to consider fighting. We see Chalice now for Vander, so he's going towards the Mikhails. For him. And then, I mean, so this Soul Stealer for Nuke, it's a bit the same as before. He never really managed to get anything on it, and instead you could have gone from like Athenes into Void Staff into Deathcap, and you have your 3 core items completed, but now he has that Soul Stealer sitting around, not really doing anything for him.
Well, 6 stacks. It's already a step in the right direction.
It's gold efficient.
It's one extra, so doing better than we've seen previously. 0-1-3. You look down the rest of the items, Void Staff, Merlin Omicron, Hourglass, Huni's Lysandra, FEBIVEN working towards Hourglass of his own, to back up that Deathcap Void Staff. You know, nothing super surprising. But FANATIC, you know, the only times FANATIC have gone in is when they are punishing a ROCCAT play. And FANATIC made a small misplay on the inhibitor turret where they gave up that kill. But generally, this is just waiting for ROCCAT to make a mistake and FANATIC punishing it, because that's what's happened for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's FANATIC using the wards they place and clear from ROCCAT here to wait for them to walk in and face check them, and then you have the flank from Lysandra, you have the engage from Rengar. That's how you want to start the fight. So they don't want to just like all in ROCCAT in the mid lane 5 versus 5 here. They keep playing around these wards here and they engage out of sight.
Well, let's see what ROCCAT can do, playing with their backs against the wall. Star takes a little bit of damage from Nukeduck, but FANATIC hold on to their 6-7k lead in a top turret. For the 3rd game of the day is the last one for the blue side to push down. Let's see if FANATIC can end as decisively. 2 previous matches. Woolite takes a lot of poke. Volcanic Pulse comes out. Let's see, right to the Arcane. 1, 2. 2 of the 3 hit. That's all that matters. FANATIC get the tower.
And all FANATIC wants to do is just push Woolite away from the minions here, because he's the only real wave clear who can actually sit back there and safely at least, or somewhat safely from distance and clear them. Nukeduck has to jump in with Distortion. That's not going to work. So all they want to do is just force Woolite away, and then you take down the tower easily for FANATIC. You wait for Baron now to spawn 130 again. You establish the same vision control you have had the previous 2 Barons, and you basically force ROCCAT to stay back in their base and just let you have that Baron, because the last time they tried to come out and stop you, ended up dying.
Well, we do see Nukeduck has picked himself up that Void Staff, so another item spike. At the power he should be at this stage. And we'll need to see if he can actually make those items count. FANATIC, yes, they've got the last 2 towers. It has taken a Baron and 7 or 8 minutes to push them down. FANATIC are respecting ROCCAT's team comp and ROCCAT's ability to create picks. But the hardest task is now up for FANATIC to break that inner turret line. Do they tower dive or do they pull ROCCAT towards them on Baron? Kind of feels like those are the questions that FANATIC will find out shortly.
I mean, once they do pick up the Baron here, they can decide to split up in like a 1-4 where you have Huni in a side lane pushing it in. Because again, there's no real hard engage on the side of ROCCAT, so he will be able to teleport in time to join a potential fight if ROCCAT wants to try and engage. And then you just have those 2 lanes with the Baron buff minions pushing down, because Woolite is the only guy with wave clear from ROCCAT, proper wave clear. So if you make sure 2 lanes are pushing at the same time, he can be there and defend both of them, and you will get a tower somewhere. I mean, look at Overpower. He's not getting any farm. He's on 183, because all the farm is going to the 2 carries of ROCCAT, because they are the guys they need in the late game to deal the damage.
And we'll see if Overpower can actually stay tanky enough to keep those carries alive. For the 3rd time this game, Baron is up, and ROCCAT are nearby. It's not gone particularly great for the mostly Polish squad the last 2 attempts. And we'll see if they can make something different happen this time around. A bunch of FANATIC wards in ROCCAT's jungle, so ROCCAT in almost full vision of FANATIC. FANATIC have got the tools to play with.
Yeah, I would like to see a few greater vision totems coming in from FANATIC, because the pink wards are easy enough to defend for them as ROCCAT can't fight them. So you get these pink wards instead of the sweeping lens and place them down and just keep them there, so you keep that vision control around it. Instead of the greater stealth totem coming in from Huni, and maybe someone like February could change over to greater vision just to have that pink ward.
ROCCAT playing with fire.
Oh,
Here
going
comes
for
a thrilling hunt, and Rainover eats a cocoon. Instantly cancelling that engage. Pink ward is cleared out. Once again, Siva plus Rengar comboing their hunting ultimates to get shut down. Let's see if they can re-engage. Rainover's jumped in onto the team. We're going to keep an eye on him. NukeDuck now trying to pop that Rengar down. He's bursted out, he's low, and he's in retreat. Solar Flare still available. Let's see if Yellow Star wants to use it, but with Rainover down, ROCCAT have bought a brief respite under the Baron pressure.
Very nice play by ROCCAT. First they disengaged, had the ping wall to see Rainover, so Cocoon from Jankos on the Elise here. And then actually just knowing, okay, Rengar has no chance of engaging on us, so we can move forward now. Try and get a few wards down ourselves and force FANATIC back. But now, they start this dragon. FANATIC were thinking about doing the Baron, but decided to recall instead because NukeDuck is still staying around this mid lane here, so it wasn't going to be that easy for them to do. And Dragon for ROCCAT here, slowly getting towards the late game for Woolite. He should be able to go back and get a last Whisper now.
I actually think that's quite an important pickup for the team of ROCCAT at this late stage in the game. 5% movement speed is going to help get away and help engage ever so slightly.
And these early dragons for ROCCAT, remember they had 2 dragons to 0 early on, has meant that FANATIC, even though they have been controlling the fights, haven't been able to get this ticking time bomb going where suddenly you're sitting on 4 dragons now, forcing ROCCAT to fight for the next one. No, the early dragons bought even more time for ROCCAT to go to the late game with the Tristana, knowing there wasn't going to be any 5th dragon for FANATIC in the near future.
So the superpower that was Week 1 FANATIC is being met nearly blow for blow by the underpowered ROCCAT from Week 1. And this is the team that everybody was expecting in the LCS from ROCCAT, I mean. They're keeping themselves even. They've made a few misplays here and there. But truthfully, they've defended. They've held even with FANATIC in the early game. And now it's going to come down to these picks. It kind of feels like whichever team is able to make use of their vision better is going to win this game. Even though ROCCAT's defending, they're not out of it yet.
No, I mean, as long as Woolite stays alive from the first engagement and actually hit someone, he doesn't have to go back to base out of the fight yet, ROCCAT will have a chance, but there's so many types of engage and CC to lock him down again. There's no QSS for him, because he wants to get all the damage items, seeing as he's running a double damage comp, so you can't really afford, before you have at least a last Whisper, to go for
oh, look at Woolite to the
back
line. Rainover went in, tried to set something up. Rainover's flashed over there, caught NukeDuck. NukeDuck's been caught out as Honey gets hit by the Death Sentence. Now Overpower's trying to run interference. He gnaws FANATIC back before flashing into the team and getting squashed down. ROCCAT have lost 1, FANATIC have lost 2, but look at Right to the Arcane. 2, 3, Summoner Heal keeps Jankos alive. Over the wall, NukeDuck goes, he gets Yellow Star. ROCCAT, 1 for 3 have won the fight.
Engage onto Woolite, didn't work for Rainover here. Woolite managed to jump away, and now ROCCAT turn it around. First time we see them win a fight here. It's all about these 2 carries, Woolite and NukeDuck. Keep them alive, and you have a chance.
That's exactly what we said, not 30 seconds beforehand.
Said 30 minutes ago.
Despite the fact that ROCCAT are on the defensive, they're not out of this one yet. They do keep Woolite alive. Vander putting on a great performance on this Thresh. We'll ignore the damage he just took. He was trying to get a Death Sentence. But his Lanterns have been on point. His Death Sentences have been on point. 007. Vanda with a license to kill. No kills yet.
License to assist.
License to assist. We'll call him Barry Bond then, instead of James Bond. Baron is secured here by ROCCAT. FANATIC out of position. I think we saw Huni teleporting into the mid lane, but he's too late to the party, and all of a sudden, ROCCAT close the gold gap, and they are the ones that can start dictating the tempo of the map. Despite actually the last few minutes, top and bottom waves were pushing against FANATIC. So ROCCAT doing a good job here.
That's a good point, because FANATIC actually hasn't paid any attention to the side lanes pretty much the entire game long. They've put more focus on being in the enemy jungle and just play around the water, not really the side waves pushing in, which was a thing they did so well before. And oh, that Baron thing actually just gave Nukedog away, and yet he gets the kill.
Well,
he popped up the minions in the bush, and yet Rainover ends up dying for it.
Not
that's Soul Stealer.
It's now super efficient. 12 stacks. 12 stacks on Nukedog Soul Stealer. 2-1-5. And again, gold in still in favor of FANATIC, but doesn't really matter. ROCCAT are now in control of the map. Minion waves pushing against them. Look at those side lanes. ROCCAT have got a little bit of time that they need to play with to sort that out.
I just can't believe the confidence for Nukedog. I mean, yeah, second item, I'm just going to get a Soul Steal against FANATIC, doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm playing Fake Out Worlds, I'm just going to pick Swain for the first time into it. And like, this guy is so confident in his own ability to make plays. And this game is now paid off for him and ROCCAT because they have managed to get to the late game.
Thank you. I do agree with that. His mindset is in one direction, but he's not had the plays consistently yet. Again, it's game 3, so it's a little harsh being overly critical, even I admit that. But ROCCAT now, they got the middle inner turret, setting themselves up on the top lane inner turret. Baron is still ticking away. That tower got melted from the damage that was done 35 minutes ago from the initial lane swap, if you recall correctly. ROCCAT are finally closing the towers down. We're now down to inhibitor turrets on both squads. Base gates might actually be a very real thing here for either of these teams. ROCCAT, who want to use it for maybe defensive purposes, and FANATIC, who could potentially use the Sivir Rengar to peel around the side and get the team fight. We'll see how it works out.
It's going to be the way for FANATIC to engage. If they are forced to just sit back in their own base, you have to use Rengar through the base gate, then you follow it up again by Yellowstein Huni onto Vulite, but he has completed a QSS now. Again, we talk about how when you're playing a double damage comp, you really got to get like your main damage core items down. So you went for the 4 damage items, now you go for the QSS. Here in the late game, he's going to obviously upgrade into a Scimitar, and Mikhail's is completed for Vanda. So you have double cleanse against Alessandra and Rengar and Leona, who wants to go for your AD carry.
And on top of that, Nukedog's just finished his Hourglass, so he's got that, you know, heavily stacked Soul Stealer and his core items completed. The one thing that you cannot forget now in this situation for ROCCAT, they need a kill advantage or tower dive because there's so much wave clear from FANATIC. Sivir plus Xerath is going to be so difficult to deal with. Stun does not connect with anyone from ROCCAT. Jankos has got that Elixir of Iron. He's a giant spider.
Look at Rainover here. He's down the bottom side.
Yellow Star. Let's see what Rainover can do. As you see, Steelback throws down on the hunt. Overpower's about to run out of Mega Gnar form. He's about to go to Mini Gnar, but it does not matter. Rainover's thrill of the hunt is peeled off to the side lane. So ROCCAT going to secure Dragon number 4 unless it's stolen. Let's keep an eye on that HP. Febiven's charging. Not taken, and ROCCAT secure it.
And a very important one for ROCCAT here, meaning now 6 minutes. We're going to have the next dragon, you're going to get the 5th one. So even if you can't manage to break into the base of FANATIC, you can just wait for that last dragon to come, force them out of their base to fight around it, or just give it over to you, and then suddenly you're so strong that FANATIC shouldn't be able to defend against you. But we see it again. Rainover and Steelback, they pop the ultis, they try for the engage, it doesn't work, they back away, and suddenly FANATIC just start recalling. They know they can't fight, they have to use those ultis. And now, because there's so many defensive stats for Woolite and options for him to stay alive, I'm not even sure FANATIC can kill him unless they trap him and completely catch him out of position.
So ROCCAT have turned this game on its head after looking like they were the ones with their backs against the wall. You saw that gold difference graph. That was the mountain ROCCAT had to climb, and they've done it. They're now down to 2,000 gold difference when it was up to 8 or 9,000 20 odd minutes ago. This is the longest game of day 1 here in week 2. And that ticking time bomb of Dragon number 5, FANATIC simply cannot give it up. Or they risk just getting completely overrun. And we just need to see how they're gonna engage, because FANATIC have not been as confident and have not been as capable of creating opportunities. They've been able to take advantage of ROCCAT when ROCCAT moved, but FANATIC did not create that scenario themselves necessarily as well as they did last week.
No, but we have to give credit then to ROCCAT for the way they've actually played against FANATIC here. Very defensive, waiting for the engage to happen every time. They at least picked for Jankos. Honestly, was just picked into the Rengar here, so whenever Rengar pops his ulti, if you have a pink ward down, you see him, you land a cocoon, you have the disengage, and then you just have a front line sitting ready, and obviously now Thresh and Elise together with the chain CC they can provide onto a single target, which actually happened a few times, bought more time for ROCCAT every single time as well. And Scimitar is completed for Woolite. He's now completely stacked. Full item, late game, Tristana, max range, everything is ready.
And let's also, I mean, yes, you've got Reignover that has built tanky, but everybody else is not really going to be able to stick to Tristana for that particular length of time. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Yellowstar and Reignover to lock Woolite down. There's Woolite, he's been caught out right to the Arcane. Will it connect? That's the question. Buster shot comes out, the slow is out, Woolite's still alive. Lantern pulls him out. All three shots of right to the Arcane's not up. Jankos gets caught out by the Glacial Tomb. Finally the teleport's coming in from Overpower. FANATIC have managed to trade 1 for 2. Jankos in retreat with Nukeduck's aid. Just as we were saying that Reignover is not going to be able to stick to Woolite, he does. He does it well, and Woolite's down.
It was really, really well played here by Reignover. First getting the jump, then QSS and jump away from Woolite. Flash Bowler Strike from Reignover again to slow him, and then the rest of the team could follow up and actually kill him and win the fight here. And that was a very aggressive play. I mean, we're 50 minutes in, and you find a single guy at a Raptor camp alone, and you just go for it.
50 seconds on the clock before those death timers are down. Teleport coming out from Huni to give FANATIC the numbers advantage on the tower. They've got the inhibitor turret. They're going to get the inhibitor. Baron's up in 20 seconds. Nukeduck looking to nuke a lone FANATIC member, but nobody's presenting themselves. FANATIC have set their sights on what appears to be Baron. They're going to have a small period of time before ROCCAT are grouping up. Let's see if ROCCAT even want to challenge. Map control now again swings in FANATIC's favor.
Yeah, there's no wards around the jungle here to actually spot ROCCAT moving into the Baron. I feel a little bit hesitant and actually waiting. Remember, they have no smite. I mean, Reignover is dead while Jankos is alive, so you don't really want to risk giving Jankos an opportunity to smite the Baron away, especially because you already have you're still even, but you have actually been on the back foot the last few minutes.
Massive, massive questions now for both of these teams. Baron is up. Who wants to go for it? Super minions down the middle lane and a 1 minute 55 second countdown timer until a potential Dragon number 5. There is no margin for error. One convincing team fight and this game is over. If ROCCAT or FANATIC can punish their opponents around one of those objectives, that's it. The game is done. Despite the fact that FANATIC have super minions in the middle lane, unless they really, really time it well, it's not going to matter a huge amount. I think the Dragon and Baron are going to be more impactful.
So Nukeduck decided to go down to this bottom lane and actually start a slow push from ROCCAT because they know there's going to be a Baron dance happening here. So they're going to build up this wave in the bottom. So let's just keep looking at it. Go like a minute in the future and you're going to see a massive wave suddenly around the FANATIC turret here, forcing someone to either go back or potentially lose that tower here in the late game. And that's why he's doing it and actually giving up some of the pressure around the Baron itself, because you would say, why is Nukeduck standing there instead of placing down a few wards or being in the Baron pit around it at least with his own team? But simply because you want to start the minion wave pushing.
Jankos toying with fire there. Managed to actually face down 4 members of FANATIC. Got the ward down. Smite is available for both of these junglers. They've started off the Baron to Fisher. This could be it. On the hunt comes out from Steelback. Thrilling Hunt's available from Reignover. Death Sentence connects for Vanda. That is so much damage. Baron is secured for FANATIC and Jankos gets downed in the fight. We see Yellowstar, the first victim from FANATIC before Overpower is running racket on FANATIC. Overpower still alive in the back line. We see Nukeduck flashing away from Reignover, waiting for those cooldowns. Right to the Arcane comes out. That's a triple kill for Steelback. The fight is over and FANATIC have done it. They're going to push the minions in. And just like that, ROCCAT are destroyed by FANATIC.
And again, Reignover in this fight here, one-on-one against Woolite, and he actually wins it. He has the Thorn Mail as well. He's stuck to him. He forced Woolite to just only focus him, and then the rest of the team could finish it. FANATIC, after a long, long game, the first time we really see them go full late game, still managed to take the win.
Complete pressure on both of these teams. FANATIC holds true. breaks down the defenses of ROCCAT. But both of these squads put up a very, very good fight. ROCCAT presented no weaknesses. ROCCAT presented no, chips in their armor. And they put up a great defense, but unfortunately, just couldn't make it count when the team fights happened.
No, I really wish we could see, I hope the analyst this will look at this very last team fight at the Baron, because when you play like Rengar, Lissandra, and you're standing in the Baron pit yourself, you don't really have that opening. You don't have any way of flanking around, and you're kind of stuck in there, and this should be the perfect option for, or chance for ROCCAT to win a fight. But Woolite ended up dying. Again, Rainover was on him all the time. I mean, Rainover on Rengar is so good. He's the guy creating the picks. Even in the team fights, as a Rengar late game, he stays on Woolite and makes sure FANATIC can take it. Such a good performance, and they're very happy, of course.
Obviously, at the end of that win, Yellow Star ecstatic. Look, it was not a convincing win. However, FANATIC punished the plays that they could. And Febiven again, 309 on that Xerath. He did everything he needed to do. He was never under threat of going down. And there was so much happening in that final team fight. I do agree. I'd love to make sure we see that again, because there were sort of 3 battles on 3 fronts.
Can we just agree this was 2 teams who played really well?
Agreed.
Very different.
You'll have no argument from me at all.
Very different comes. One from FANATIC in the mid game here, where they want to look for the picks here. They want to just end the game as fast as they possibly can. And then obviously the late game with Woolite on Tristana here, and ROCCAT managing actually to get to late game here, play around the vision. Got caught out a few times, but stayed in the game. The early Dragon plays as well for them. And then we get to this late game team fight where basically whoever takes it will win the game.
I think the one thing that really stands out for me as well, if you go back to the early stages of the matchup, Rainover, when he played Rengar last time, very aggressive pre-6, got multiple kills. This time around, Rainover played passive. For whatever reason, could have been Huni dying to Gromp early, could have been let's play differently to the previous attempt. But more important than that, Jankos was around. Jankos was waiting in the top. He actually waited so long that was able to get first blood by Steelback, overstepping his mark. But if Rainover had played the same as he did last week, Jankos was there to react, to respond, and to put a kill on the board.
And that's basically why we saw FANATIC just wait for that one big team fight to happen, or one big pick to happen, instead of just forcing fights in every single lane, because ROCCAT did a good job with the defensive wards here. Jankos did a very good job following Rainover around. So again, it's just credit to ROCCAT.
Yeah.
Reading FANATIC, but then FANATIC still managed to get the game in the end, and they got some very, very important engages. I mean, the Huni one in the jungle around the red buff where he gets onto Woolite and kill him in the end. Febiven, of course, with the double kill on his ulti. Like, there were some very big plays from FANATIC, and they played it extremely well. But ROCCAT had a tactic. They stuck to it in pick and ban phase. I mean, didn't give over or didn't care about,
I still remember how concerned you were.
And everything. Well, but the thing is, when you look at the comp from FANATIC, they have everything they want to create these crazy games, and yet ROCCAT managed to delay it and get to 50 minutes. So, well played to them, but FANATIC just takes the win.
Yeah, and something else that ROCCAT also did exceptionally well was their vision control.
Yes.
There was multiple times that FANATIC, pushed up really deep into ROCCAT's jungle, and ROCCAT did a very good job of clearing out those wards, not taking super risky moves. I mean, I think if you think of the entirety of that game, Woolite being jumped on in the 55th minute or whatever it was, 53rd minute, 45th minute rather, was really the only misplay. And I use that term very, very loosely. But, up until that point, ROCCAT, they held a defensive line. I still feel that the Nuke Duck plus Woolite equals carry is not enough, because we've seen it 3 times now, and it's not particularly inspiring. Nuke Duck's LeBlanc, while better this game, was by no means able to carry an entire team when you're 50% of your team's damage.
No, that's very true. I mean, it was all about Woolite in the end, but Nuke Duck did make some plays. He got a few picks, in the late game team fights. But yeah, that come from ROCCAT when you have this Elise and Gnar both going just full tank, and Overpower being denied a lot of farm. He never farmed the side lanes in this game here, except maybe once or twice. He was ending the game 52 minutes in on 244 CS. Woolite had 470, and obviously Nuke Duck had 420. But they got all the farm here, meaning Overpower could only just be a frontline tank and nothing else, which was the whole plan from ROCCAT. So LeBlanc, probably not the best to go full late game, but they wanted to make power at least from her.
So ROCCAT, they put up a better fight, but it's Yellow Star and FANATIC that secure another win in the books. So to break that down, we're going to head over to our very own Yellow Star at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot. Yeah, well, Good dress. We're joined on the desk by FANATIC's AD carry Steelback after that close win over ROCCAT. Congratulations, first of all. And secondly, in the previous games, we always saw you guys playing when you had a huge lead in the beginning of the game. Now it was even. How had that changed the way you went into the rest of the game?
Well, it was like we had two first most easy game, like it was close very fast, but like this game was hard because LeBlanc was poking Lissandra a lot, so we had to back, and yeah, we tried to engage them most of the best way possible.
Okay, so you wanted to lane swap, right?
Yes.
Was this because to give Yellow Star free roaming, or you just felt like your lanes were weaker?
The lane swap, we counter lane swap. We wanted to versus 2 them.
Oh, okay.
And so we just counter lane swap.
All right, you guys were 2 versus 2 in that top lane. We're actually going to bring up a replay of that dive you guys tried to do in the top lane. Let's get that up on the screen right now. And Laurie, you actually found it was a good example of being too aggressive for a team.
Yeah, this is why teams are afraid to go aggressive, because sometimes it can backfire and make you look stupid. But for FANATIC, it has paid off really, really well so far. So sometimes you fail, but you just gotta ignore it. And let's roll with the clip. So here, there's Lissandra going in very aggressive, but Gnar gets a really good ult and just completely decimates him. Jankos even gets away on Steelback, finishes him off, and then this is just awkward. They're split between the turret, don't have anywhere to run. Huni flashing in to finish off, but gets taken down as well, 3-4-1.
Yeah, Steelback, what was the call like there? Who said, let's go in? And
yeah, we called to dive. I was not sure about the dive. We still did it, and I tanked the tower first. That's why I died really fast, and it was, yeah, we couldn't dive because of that.
Yeah, you guys had some good engages after that, but ROCCAT still managed to hold on, and you know you had that Tristana on the other side who scales so well, so how did you play the rest of the game?
So, like, they were like trying to make the game long to give Tristana item, so we were trying like to catch Tristana and not take the fight directly and try to poke with Xerath.
Yeah, it was indeed a balancing act. Let's take a look at the team fight that decided it all for you guys. Let's get that up on the screen, because it all came down to this Baron call and the fight right after. We can roll the clip. Can you talk us through what happens here?
So we went to Nash. We wanted to bait, but afterwards they came too late, so we were like just finishing it. So I just ult, and we just killed them.
Yeah, right now, tell us how...
And whenever it's on Tristana.
Yep. So. You're basically being cleanup crew in this one, just keeping in the back lane and then cleaning them all up. Well, from there, you guys managed to finish out the game. That means you are now 3-0.
Yes.
What's it been like for you coming in this, you know, FANATIC lineup? You probably have seen played so many years before, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in the LCS.
Yeah, I'm kinda new, so it was like the first time I played on stage. The first game in LCS, so but it was really good feeling to win on stage, and it's really amazing that we're doing this score with the new lineup.
Yeah, indeed. Well, congratulations, 3-0 already. It's time to hear from you at home. Earlier in the show, we asked you what champion pick surprised you the most in week 1 and why. And here's what you guys said. From @BroodRoosterNL, the Olaf pick was a surprise to me. How do these junglers make Olaf ganks work? No gap closers, just an axe to throw. Cyanide?
Yeah, it's a very hard ability to hit a skill shot, which I don't have that skill, but some other better junglers do. And I think the reason why there is Olafs now is because the junglers are getting banned all the time, like Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Jarvan, ban almost every game. You have to get creative. Yeah,
and it absolutely worked out. At Elilona, Yellow Star support Annie was an unexpected treat. It was great to see Tivers back in the bottom lane. Steelback, that is something you ran twice in the bottom lane last week. Why in this one did you guys not go for Annie? It was open.
Yeah, we went for Leona because we wanted like to hard engage, and he could def the ADC with Leona, so it was like most defensive than Annie.
Yeah, and it turned out to be very necessary in that long game. Last one is from @CTomso0365. Shook's Aatrox definitely surprised me, as well as how well that pick ended up carrying. Definitely a surprise pick, but why do you think it worked out for Shook there?
I'm not a big fan of Aatrox right now. I used to play him a lot. It was when he was super overpowered. That's maybe why I can't play him anymore, because you just don't have the strength anymore. However, Shook played really well. I still think Aatrox is like a tier 3 pick, but he made it work.
Yeah, we remember your plays at Worlds with Aatrox. Impressive stuff. Remember, you can always join in on the conversation by tweeting at LOL Esports and using that hashtag LCS. Now coming up next, SK Gaming will take on Gambit, and according to the vote at lolesports.com, you think SK is going to keep up their undefeated streak. Stay tuned and see if Gambit can hand them their first loss of the season.
Little bit.
Sleepy.
Sleepy?
Nice sleepy.
How come you're sleepy?
I don't know. Sleepy.
He's gone in, he's rooted them in place. Glacial Tomb, but a 3-man Gnarl throws FANATIC against the wall. ROCCAT, they're going to survive and get the first kill of the fight as Jankos was able to repel away.
Nice! Kill it!
Megadar stuns Yellowstar against the wall, but Overpower's got no support. We see the right of the Arcane. Shots coming out. Flash, Boomerang Blade. The third one! Baron is secured for FANATIC, and Jankos gets downed in the fight. We see Yellowstar, the first victim from FANATIC, before Overpower is running racket on FANATIC. Overpower still alive in the back line. FANATIC breaks down the defenses of ROCCAT.